India is not like the West. We are very separate. Now, we have been producing 25 million babies a year for the last 30 years. If you look at the census results, you can find that out, 25 million. So every year, 25 million people attain the age of 21 come into the workforce. That is the flow. When you talk about India, there are 4 Indias. There's a 300 million people who got a per capita income of maybe $4,000 to $5,000. There's another 300 million people who are aspirational from small cities, 300 people in remote areas, and the 300 people in the tribal areas who want sustenance. Now, for the next 10 years, the bottom, they got sustenance, they have jobs. Next level, they have jobs because they live in the remote areas. Now, for the top 300 plus 300 million and the next layer, there's the question of jobs that has to come. But the issue is, India can grow 7 to 8% a year for the next 12 years, irrespective of what happens now. So GDP will go to $10 trillion. We have to increase jobs maybe 1.5% to 2% a year. Our GDP will grow at 7 to 8%. So the job intensity of the GDP may come down, but there will be enough jobs. But the key question is, are we producing enough jobs for the people who want good wages? Exactly. And the answer will come only when income goes up, purchasing power goes up, and consumption goes up, and that's a small process. Out of about 15 million people, maybe 2.5 million get decent jobs paying 30,000, 40,000, 50,000. Others don't get it. In the banking industry, we made a study which says in the last 15 years, banks' balance sheets have gone up by 10 times. Assets, liabilities, operating profits, not the net profit because of other issues, but employment has gone up 5%. Why is that? That is rule-based. Even in India, in the formal industry, rule-based. What he is doing, Amod is doing in industry is rule-based work. So automation can take over. But India has to grow. We have to build roads, we have to build airports, we have to build houses. So India is not going to suffer the consequences. But the key question is, are we going to have enough good jobs to meet our needs? The answer is no. And that can only come over a period of time. And my view is, this generation that is coming into the workforce or is coming in the workforce last 10 years and next 10 years, there's a lost generation. They're not going to see high income because they have to go by into the workforce. The generation comes 10 years from now where the consumption will be much higher. GDP could be 10 trillion. They will have better job because they enter the workforce at a time when population growth rate has come down, fertility has come down, and this happened. So we are in a flux and we have our own situation to look at very, very differently.
I truly believe that there is a mismatch, or at least a partial mismatch, in capital flows and how capital is instrumental in generating employment. So let me give you some examples. And I've talked to you earlier on this. The top 9 IT companies in the last 10 years have spent on dividend distribution and on share buybacks $44 billion. So this money, where does it go? It goes into the hands of shareholders. Shareholders spend it where? It goes into public equity, broadly, all forms of instruments, which actually, to my mind, creates very little jobs. It goes into real estate, creates some jobs. So a large part of this capital, which is the traditional, and by the way, it happens worldwide, right, does not create many jobs. Now let me come to your question about the venture and private equity. If I take that part of the world, the total capital which has gone into this part of the world in the last 6 years, India has absorbed about $120 billion. And based on what I see right now, I truly believe that India will absorb in this new creation of companies. And I'm making synonymous new creation of companies with new job creation. By the way, some part will be from the old economy also. In the next 6 years, including this year, we estimate this to be $300 to $350 billion. Okay? That's a huge amount of capital. And I've seen this since '98. There is increasing amount of risk capital going. By the way, this risk capital does not come from the traditional economy, right? The government is not geared up to do this. And it's not the government's, I would come back and say, it's not the government's job. I think there is an ecosystem inside the country where capital flows, if they can be tweaked, and their policy for government comes in, to get part of that $166 billion from BSE 30 into the new economy, you'll find job creation in all levels. Families are getting richer. Individuals are getting richer. There's some Economic Times report which I saw about how many crorpatis are there in the country. And so is corporations. And especially now with the new laws which have come in, they'll get richer. to me, that's a very big question. How do you streamline at least part of that capital flow into new economy? Because the new economy is about technology. The new economy, technology in the old economy is about the new economy.